achievement of the development goals of many countries. Without the construction industry, economies are likely to grow desire. And therefore, it is important that all citizens in a nation state have the opportunity to participate in a sector of that significance. In Nigeria, females make about half of the population in the country. And yet, as the statistics show, less than 10% of the population in the construction industry is made up of women labor force. So what does that imply? It means, and given the fact that women do have the same capability to work in the construction industry as men at all the levels, by not utilizing that capacity, the implication is that the economy is not productive at its fullest potential. Indeed, a considerable volume of research suggests that gender diversity greatly improves productivity and the success of enterprises. And so any drives towards greater success in the construction industry must include and be supported by attracting the female labor force, or generally speaking, attracting a labor force from a broader talent base through increased gender diversity at all levels. There are women that currently participate in the construction industry in Nigeria and elsewhere. Or many times, those women who are participating in those industry are not at the levels one can call the critical levels. Many times they are there as unskilled labor. And in many cases, they are not in decision-making positions. If you compare the construction industry to other industries, such as the financial sector, where women have strategic positions, they are part of the decision-making. And therefore, even though we don't have any clear research, it is just perhaps safe to say that the financial sector is thriving very well because of the inclusivity of the labor force as compared to the construction industry. There are also other significant reasons to make the construction sector inclusive. And part of those justification is linked to the productivity of the household. Construction jobs, particularly at the professional level, the technical level, and the managerial level, are well rewarding jobs. So when women have the possibility to participate in those positions, they generate better income. And we all know that when women have better income, it creates positive impact for the sustainability of a household, not only in terms of its current survival, to investment in children, and therefore the next generation of this country. So it brings sustainability to the economy. It will also contribute to greater economic security for women, which is fundamental for promoting gender equality. As we all know, the world body, the United Nations, through the Sustainable Development Goal 5, recognize that gender equality is a prerequisite for economic development. It's a prerequisite for peace and security. And it's a prerequisite for sustainability of our generation today and beyond. Therefore, the construction industry, its importance in terms of economic development and wealth creation, should contribute to that goal. As it is today, that important sector is actually discriminating against women and girls, and therefore, in the spirit of promoting gender equality and achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 5 of the United Nations, it is important that stakeholders at all levels promote the participation of women in that sector. Let me put forward briefly, given that I have limited time to make a presentation, some of the barriers and gender issues that create limitation for the participation of women in the construction industry. In the context of Nigeria, many of those barriers have to do with gender stereotype, some sociocultural norms that makes the society believe that women should not be in the construction business. I can recall not too long ago that we were trying to promote a program on vocational education for women in the Northeast. And when we proposed that women could learn trade within the construction discipline, a good number of the stakeholders, including female policymakers in Borno State, did not believe that that is something we can pursue. So that thinking, that sociocultural belief is one of the fundamental things that we need to overcome to be able to expand and increase the participation of women in the construction industries, and also help women to benefit from the large breadth of wealth that is created in that sector. The other limitation also has to do with what is perceived to be the masculine nature of the construction industry. And many times the industry itself, particularly at the lower level, work people aside, is many times characterized by conflict and confrontational practices, including in the recruitment processes that may lead to frustration for female employees in particular. Other factors had to do with the interruption of women's career due to reproduction at certain times of their lives, which also leads to gender discrimination. But having said or described these limitations, I think I have made clearly the fact that the construction industry should begin to drive for greater gender diversity. And to be able to do that, it should draw from the lessons of the financial sector, which has moved through similar journey, perhaps during the last 40 years. It is a predictable fact that when you have a labor force that is derived from a broader talent base, in this case, if you have a labor force that is made up of a good mix of male and female, but also people of other characteristics, for instance, people with disability, you are more likely to be successful than when you just depend on one segment of society to move your industry forward. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is important that in increasing gender diversity of the construction industry, the combination of skill, there is a need to support the acquisition of skills by women, as currently there is a global trend, and I believe it is also a reality in Nigeria, of a shortage of skill in that sector. And that is because many of the people who put themselves forward to participate in the sector are largely male. So to the extent possible, we should support skills acquisition in the field of construction for women and support them to believe that the construction industry is not only for men, but that it is also for women. We know that in many of our universities, but also in the technical colleges, the intake or graduation rate of female students in the fields of construction generally has increased significantly, perhaps over the past several years. But if you look at that graduation rate as compared to the number of women that are participating in the industry, particularly at the more technical and decision-making level, they don't tend to be well aligned. This means therefore that there are women who are taking technical qualifications in the construction field, but end up not working in the construction field, but find themselves in what are normally called the traditional fields of women. That is a lost opportunity, and we should be able to investigate why that is happening, which means we should not only conduct research to understand what the issues are, but we should also critically look at policies that could deliberately promote women to not only take qualifications in the construction industry, but stand the test of working in that industry at all the levels. In conclusion, I will propose a few recommendations that need to be considered, that the professional bodies, the government, and other organizations should give sufficient attention to the challenges women face in the industry and employ adequate strategies to resolve those problems. The policies which ensure equal opportunities and prevent discrimination against women and their recruitment should be enforced in construction enterprises and organizations. The women should be allowed flexible working conditions in certain circumstances to make sure that the industry is attractive to them. The more women should be employed and encouraged to stay to bridge the skill shortage of the construction industry in Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will end at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a very insightful presentation on the importance of gender diversity and inclusion in the construction industry. And so next we'll be having Engineer Mrs. Olubunmi Adekoje, Director General, Federation of Construction Industry, speaking on the types of construction and status of women and youth in the construction industry. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you very much, madam. It's indeed a delight to be part of this panel, and I thank Inter-Bau for this initiative. I want to confirm, can you hear me? Am I clear? Good, okay. So I listened with rapt attention to the discussion and the delivery by Mr. Wone and from the United Nations, and I was really excited because I find that some of the issues he raised, I believe I'll be able to shed some more light to during my discussion. I don't know if the presentation could be shared at this time, please, so I can quickly go through with our audience. So I've been given a task to discuss types of construction and status of women and youth in the construction industry. And I'm delighted, as you can see, I'm a woman, I'm in the construction industry. So I'm delighted to be here to speak on this morning. The way I'll go through it, we'll discuss I'll try and introduce you a bit to the Federation of Construction Industry. I'll talk about types of construction and status of women and youth. And I'll also talk about what FOSI has been doing to contribute to the status of women and youth in the construction industry. And hopefully I'll be able to do that within a short time. Unfortunately, it seems a slide is not being shared. Well, I'll talk about the Federation of Construction Industry. Now, the Federation of Construction Industry was founded on the 1st of October, 1954. So we can say we are 65 years old this year. Thank you. We are 65 years old this year. And we were founded as an umbrella body for construction companies. So our members are civil and construction engineering companies, and those that employ in the Nigerian within the Nigerian space. Our members consist of building and construction engineering contractors. We have subcontractors also as our members, and then we also have stockists and suppliers of materials, plants, and equipment who are also our members. If you could go to this particular slide, the slide that has, could you please move forward and go to the next slide, please? Good. So I've just gone through this. So the next slide, the slide after that, very good. So what do? We are said to be the competitive advantage of construction in Nigeria. And why are we said to be that? If you look at that, we start with representation. We safeguard the interests of our members, and we ensure fair and equitable treatment for our members. Secondly, we do standards. When you talk about construction, there's need for standards, and we sustain commitment to excellence and compliance with standards. This is what we do. Thirdly, we do collective bargaining for our members. And in terms of collective bargaining, you find that we actually are a trade union. We are called Construction and Civil Engineering Employers Association of Nigeria. That's our trade name, our trade union name. So on behalf of our members, we negotiate terms and conditions of service for all employees in the construction industry, both the junior staff and the senior staff. And we do this every 2 years to ensure that there is equitable condition of service within the construction industry. I like to say we negotiate the minimum, and companies that can afford to actually pay more. On the fourth side, we do advocacy. So we provide insight into upcoming legislative changes, and we advocate on behalf of our members. We also do publications. We do some publications that aid business decision of our members. And finally, we just have a baby that we've added to our stable. It's called Forces Skills Academy. And in the academy, we'll be working on vocational and technical education. Can we go on to the next slide, please? Thank you. So we're to talk about different kinds of construction. And we find that construction, I believe that this part of the purpose of today's webinar is to educate. Maybe there are some young people out there who don't really know what construction is about, to sort of make them interested in construction and show them some of the things that we do. So when we talk about construction, we talk about buildings, infrastructure, as well as industrial facilities. And that is what construction involves. Those are the processes covered by construction. And we find that in these processes, there will be a time for planning, financing, designing, and so on. And all of this continues until the asset is built and ready for use. And after construction, there will be need for repairs, maintenance, need to expand the work, extend or improve the asset. Sometimes you have to demolish, dismantle, or decommission the process. And all of this is construction. And we find that in all of this, we have to have people working, both men and women working. So if you go on quickly to the next slide, we'll look, take just a brief look at the different kinds of construction, which is buildings, infrastructure, and industrial. And the next slide, after that, we look at what we call, when we talk about building. And I'll share with you that I'm on purpose using things from my member companies. So this is a building built by one of my member companies here in Lagos. So when we talk about buildings, we have both residential buildings and non-residential buildings. The next slide shows us what we mean by infrastructure. And when we talk about infrastructure, It can be roads, bridges, dams, and so on. So we have a dam here by one of my members in Nigeria here too. So all these things, rail lines, airports, canals, water and sewage, they all come under infrastructure. And finally, we have the industrial construction. And industrial construction, we can talk about the oil and gas, the mining, refineries. And this is actually a power station. This is a picture of a power station here in Nigeria that we're showing. And all of this fall under industrial construction. Now we want to talk about, just as the previous speakers said, we really don't have enough statistics in Nigeria. It's a problem for us. We don't have enough statistics. And I believe, by this webinar is actually bringing to the front the need for statistics in the construction industry. So I hope that very soon we'll be able to commission some people to carry out some survey and get some more statistical data for us for use in the construction industry. As FOSI, we would like to be in the forefront of this. But you find some of the statistics I'll share are not from Nigeria because we could not get enough statistics. So we just picked something from the United States Department of Labor. And you find that amongst the different work, we look finances, just look at it. You can find that in the construction industry, we have very little women, just about 10% in the United States. That is the more developed economy than Nigeria. So we suspect, let's use the word suspect, that if a survey is done in Nigeria, we might not be much above this 10%, if at all. And the next slide I tried to show is also not from Nigeria, but just talks about women participation in construction in some European countries. And you find that in Greece, for instance, it's about 2%, which is very, very low. And in some countries like Australia, it's closer to maybe like about 13%. So we know that this statistics is not available here now, but we are willing to work on it because we know that it is good for us. We know that could we go to the next slide? Now, currently, what is the status of women in the Nigerian construction industry? I like to, confirm that in the Nigerian construction industry, we have equal opportunity employment. And I want to, boldly say that if there wasn't equal opportunity employment, I definitely would not be sitting here as the Director General of Federation of Construction. Themselves to show some form of commitment and interest in construction. And therefore, we are trying to encourage more women to seek opportunities in construction. This is our sincere hope. We want women to seek opportunities in construction, and we want to encourage them. I want to see what we can do to make them more comfortable working in construction. Now, we also talk about the status of youth in construction in Nigeria. And you find that in Nigeria, construction is a youth-based task. For the more manual work, it seems the youth have more energy to do it. But Nigeria is a youth-based country. And there are opportunities for career development within the construction industry. However, we have discovered that fewer youths show interest in construction. And we all know it is a challenge we have in Nigeria now, that more and more youths are moving towards the technical and let's say the internet skills than the hands-on skills. That's how we can encourage youths and women more in construction. Now, one of the things we have done is that recently, some few years ago, we started a scholarship. And the scholarship focuses on women and young men in Nigerian public universities. Currently, we have 12 scholars nationwide who are on Forces Scholarship for the duration of their education in the university. We sponsor them for the 5 years in the university, and we have 3 of the 12 are women, because we really want to encourage women to go into construction skills, and we're talking about the university. Now you see on display right now something called Forces Skills Academy. We just registered this academy late last year, and the purpose of the academy is to provide world-class dual vocational training on construction skills up to NSQL level 3, which is equivalent to an OND. And we are starting on the 1st of October this year. But last year, we had this workshop. The workshop, you can see the picture. We are actually working on the curriculum with some of our foremen in our member companies, and with the Nigerian Board of Technical Education. We are working on the curriculum, and with some of our foreign partners as well, and our member companies. And the purpose of the Forces Skills Academy is that we're going to have fresh applicants, both male and female, and we're going to reach out especially to the women as well, to the young ladies. And the fresh applicants, we paid a stipend. They'll be employed by our member companies, so they'll have on-the-job opportunities, and they'll be able to improve their market skills. At the end of it, they'll be certified. Our existing staff will also be able to come into the academy. While they're earning their salary, they'll do the training, will be part-time of their job, helping them to have greater commitment to their work. So this is our plan in Forces Skills Academy, and we are hopeful that before the end of this year, all things being equal, Forces Skills Academy shall take off. And in Forces Skills Academy, we'll be focusing on basic literacy skills, vocational training, and finally practical on-the-job training. And our slogan is, you should earn while you learn. And just to put a little bit more on what my colleague said about the issue of women in trades in Nigeria, I'd like to put it on record, because I happen to be part of the process. We had Construction Artisans Award in 2019. It was the first of its kind in Nigeria. It was arranged by organized by one of our partners, and we participated. We even brought in members from staff from our member companies to participate. And it would excite you to know that women in northern Nigeria, some young ladies from northern Nigeria, excelled even in this Construction Skills Artisans Award. They excelled particularly in electrical and painting works. We were excited that we could have artisans from northern Nigeria, young women who were excelling in male-dominated fields. They did so well that some of them were given special awards. And we're informed that in some parts of northern Nigeria, they prefer these women artisans, because especially where they have many wives and they don't want just any man going into their harem, they don't mind the women artisans coming into work. So we are really excited about this program, and I hope as other speakers speak, they'll talk some more about some of the places, some of the roles women currently play in construction in Nigeria. But if they do not, if I could be given an opportunity later on, it will be my delight to talk about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for an insightful presentation. And next, we have Engineer Mrs. Aramide Adeoye, Special Advisor of Works and Infrastructure from Lagos State, speaking on women and youth in construction, the role of government. You're welcome, Madam. Sorry, is Engineer Aramide, are you around, Ma? Okay. May we move on to Mrs. Doris Mbadwe, Executive Director, Inter-Bau Construction, to speak on opportunities for women and youth in the construction industry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I trust that everybody is keeping safe and keeping to the rules, health and safety concerning COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll be speaking on, if you don't mind, let me share my screen. I'll be speaking on the diverse opportunities in the Nigerian construction industry. Let me say a few things about Inter-Bau Foundation construction. Give me a second. So we are a wholly indigenous construction company. We're 6 years old this year. Our areas of specialty, bridges and annex structures, flood and erosion control works, architectural and structural design works, and engineering consultancy services. As we've all been hearing from the other speakers, it's one of the largest, the top 3 largest employer of labor in Nigeria. Construction is the foundation of all infrastructure. Without it, there would be no built environment. We wouldn't have buildings or hospitals or roads and bridges, seaports or airports. Despite the current COVID-19 pandemic, the construction industry is one of the few sectors that have been given the green light to start early for several reasons. For instance, in Nigeria and other countries like the UK and the US, the economy, the governments are looking to the construction industry to push the country forward. The Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, he's been talking about build, 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 and they're set to spend about £5 billion to actually see this work. In the US also, the president has signed some executive orders to assist the employers of labor, the construction employers of labor, to drive the economy forward. Also, another reason for the green light is the need to maintain, rehabilitate existing structures, essential structures like hospital, roads, and bridges, and to actually build new ones. As we've noticed, the weather is upon us. To mitigate the flooding situation and loss of prior construction works, the government has seen it fit to let us continue working under, of course, strict guidelines. For people who are in the construction industry, like in the road, especially the road works, there's a stage that you get to that you really have to close off, that the flooding situation might actually make it worse, which leads to loss of investments. Also, the reason for the green light is to prevent widespread unemployment by preserving existing staff members and also generating new members. We've heard time and time again that it's a male-dominated industry, and hence the need to engender it. Women form over 50% of the population, so their involvement and participation in the sector is very much crucial. The gender bias about women working in construction is actually man-made, as every career is actually gender neutral. So that's just something that has been perceived for centuries or even decades, which we're trying, as all the panelists and speakers are speaking about, we're trying to change that thinking. There are over 150 career jobs in the construction industry. I've actually separated the opportunities into direct and indirect opportunities. Under the direct opportunities, we have the core group of workers, of the workforce, who work directly in terms of the planning and the implementation and execution of the projects. They include the construction professionals, the artisans, administrators, subcontractors, laborers, and helpers. Now, under the construction professionals, we have the land and quantity surveyors. These are the first group of people that actually have to move into the site to make sure that wherever is being constructed or built, that we keep to the land boundaries. Then we have the architects. They're the ones who they're the ones that plan the drawings and actually inform how others are going to carry out their work. They work closely with the civil and structural engineers, civil mostly for roads and the structural engineers mostly for buildings. We have electrical engineers, they look after the electrical systems, and then we have the project managers and builders. Now, the construction professionals, I see them as, they actually deal with concept. So, they require very specialized technical skills to do what they do. But then I move on to the construction artisans. Now, this group of people bring the construction project to life. Without the construction artisans, everything else is just paperwork. So they're the ones that actually take what we see on paper and then make it tangible. So we have the bricklayers, we have the scaffolders, we have the iron vendors, we have the carpenters, roofers, tilers, painters, plumbers. Now, as I move on, I just want us to, open our minds to the reality that all these actors could be both men and women, not just men. And then we have the administrators. They're the procurement team. Now, traditionally, a large number of females are in this category because, they cater to all other traditional sectors also. We have the HR, we have the legal department, finance, public relations. We have the least female representation in the artisans group, as the former speakers, discussed about. The subcontractors, most projects are not, it is not just the main contractors that are involved in most projects. Sometimes you have to call in a specialized group to take over certain aspects of every construction job. So for instance, we just concluded an airport in February this year, the Port Harcourt Airport, and we had to get the manufacturers and installers of air conditioning to take care of that aspect of work. And then of course we had to contact people, the players in the windows and glass work to take care of that aspect of work. So those are the sort of subcontractors that can get involved in the construction sector. The floor work, cleaning and waste management, post-construction cleaning, they would fall under this category. Then we have the laborers and the helpers. Without these, everything, the other groups would be, how can I put it, stranded or frustrated. So they're the ones that assist the construction professionals, especially the skilled artisans and the subcontractors to cause an easier flow of work. So they include the concrete mixers, the carriers, transporters, site cleaners, and support officers. Now, for the indirect opportunities, these are a group of people who are not really directly involved in the core planning or implementation, but they assist and support the whole construction cycle. So we have a supply chain operators, we have consultants, we have investors, we have the constructpreneurs, which include SMEs, and we have the technologists. So for the suppliers, every construction project needs certain materials to use to come about the build project or to complete their projects. So we need the suppliers of these materials to work closely with us. So they include sand and gravel suppliers, iron suppliers, block makers, wood and timber suppliers, electrical suppliers. Then, of course, there's another opportunity here for consultants. I don't see any transaction or sector that does not involve, that would not need the assistance of lawyers, particularly my fellow colleagues. So they're much needed in terms of signing agreements, negotiations with clients, and all of that. We need finance. Every project needs funding. So we need the finance and players or actors, male or female, to actually guide what funding, the type of funding that are needed for each specific project. Different projects require different types of funding. And then of course, every project has to be insured. The workers have to be insured, the equipment have to be insured. There's a latent defect insurance that is needed for the projects. So we do need the participation of insurance companies or insurers. Now we have project consultants. Let me give Inter-Bau's projects for example. So we do mostly government projects for state and federal governments. Now, this client always has project consultants, really mostly civil engineers and structural engineering firms. Now, they have to supervise our work to make sure that we're working according to specification. So that is where they come in. So anyone that is operating in that line would fit in right here. Then we have waste management consultants, and then the energy. I mean, that's the new and trending area. So a lot of infrastructure, the lighting systems, the water supply systems are now powered by alternative energy, which is solar. So that's, I mean, those players are really required in our sector. For the investors, we have the private-public partnerships. Really, the government, the federal government of Nigeria has seen this as key to solving the funding and infrastructural deficits in the country. So the government is looking for partners to partner with them to create infrastructure, to build roads, highways, and low-cost housing. In turn, the investors are given the opportunity to manage and receive the proceeds from the proceeds also profit. You know, certain and are looking to invest in certain businesses or organizations. So there are some construction companies that are actually publicly listed that investors can actually buy into. Then we have property owners, landowners. Sometimes they have the landed properties, but then don't have the money to develop. So they partner with other investors or developers to see that that happens, and then of course share some parts of the proceeds. The owners of company. So there are certain individuals that maybe are already in other sectors and doing well and want to use their profits to maybe specialize in other sectors or get into other sectors. So they can decide to open a construction company and then of course hire the other key officers to manage the business for them. So now we have the constructpreneurs, which includes SMEs. We have, so constructpreneurs are entrepreneurs that actually function in the construction industry. So we're in need. You know, every construction development, every project needs equipment. So if you're in the business of leasing equipment or machinery, there's an opportunity there. There are also groups of artisans. It could be plumbing, it could be painters, if you had maybe a group of women, maybe 10 or 20 of them, they could form a small firm and of course approach the contractors to be made subcontractors on a major project or also bid for projects. Horticulture and green construction. You know, people are looking for better ways of constructing, having in mind the safety of the environment and also the safety of people. So we have horticultures that, there's some buildings that you'll see a lot of flowers and trees and, that's just to make the air greener. Somebody's responsible for that. It also leads to sustainable construction. Then we have special works, glass works, like I spoke about before, elevators and all of that. So firms that engage in that area could also support the main contractors, and of course the industrial cleaners. Because for every construction job, you need industrial cleaners, and their job is to really to take out hazardous materials from the site. So they work along the artisans to make sure during the project and after the project, to make sure that safety and health of the workers are key. The trending in new area, not really, yes, the construction technologists. Now, these are people that, so we have technologists that are functioning in other sectors, but then the construction technologists actually specifically function in the construction industry using certain hardware devices and also software devices like the drone systems, the cloud-based systems, robotics, website developers, branding, graphics, and trainers. This should be interesting for youths, I would think, and women in the tech that are tech savvy. So what are my construction career tips? Join professional associations. You could take a screenshot of this. So we have FOSI, we have APWIN, which is just for women engineers. And then we have the Artisans Association of Nigeria, then architects, builders, QSs. Then we have WICA, Women in Construction Community in Africa. Then we have ASVAN, Association of Skilled and Vocational Artisans of Nigeria. I would like to go back to something. The government has issued an executive order which is in force, Executive Order 5. And that is basically to assist certain players, like the supply chain operators, to progress in the sector. So under the Executive Order 5, they've actually, the government has mandated all MDAs to have a preference and to give bids to Nigerian suppliers or Nigerian contractors over foreign contractors or foreign suppliers. In cases where we have local players that have competence to do the same job. They've also mandated the Ministry, the Ministry of the Nigerian Immigration to deny visas to foreign skilled workers in a place where we have foreign and local expertise. So these are all just to help, with an unemployment situation amongst the youths in the country. Executive Order 7 actually gives tax incentives to investors that are investing under the PPP plan. So my tips would be to attend construction networking events whenever they come up, to volunteer or shadow work in construction companies and affiliate organizations, to keep pitching your skills and profiles to those who need it. Now you can do this electronically by sending whoever you're targeting, or company, or a few of them, or lots of them, or all of them, sending them your electronic profiles or CVs, or in person. And please always keep training and learning. And just to know that, there's, construction, there's a place for everybody, whatever your preference. So I will conclude by saying a bird cannot fly with one wing. Increased participation of women is highly encouraged to achieve optimal and holistic outcomes. Youth and women are encouraged to harness the vast opportunities that exist in the construction industry to achieve financial independence. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. And next, we'll be having Engineer Mrs. Aramide Adeyoye, Special Advisor, Works and Infrastructure, Lagos State, speaking on the women and youth in construction, the role of government. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you. I've not sincerely, first let me start with my sincere apologies. I've been out of 2 Zoom meetings at the same time, and they were all, Dr. Latunji, nice. I needed to speak. As I speak with you, the Lamata is taking a shot before me. So I've had to juggle between 2 Zoom meetings before coming to yours. So I'll go straight to the point, and then I'll try to put the role of government, permitting to stand on all existing protocols already established. So let me go straight and shoot. I'm singularly honored to be here and feel the need to commend Inter-Bau Foundation. I see the genuineness with which you have come up with this topic. I haven't been in the construction industry for about 35 years. I've seen so many foundations, they come and with a semblance of attention to women, but along the line, they lose it. I've seen also private organizations come up, the state government, before I came on board on this side of government, I've seen government attempt to introduce programs like Skills Up, knowing fully well that the construction industry has its own limitations for women. But let me go on before digressing. So, I'm singularly honored to be here and feel the need to commend Inter-Bau Foundation, the conveners of this webinar, for its efforts to promote opportunities for women and youth in the construction industry. The foundation has become a forum for stimulation of sustainable development values in Lagos State and beyond, and this year's project speaks eloquently to a growing need in a section of the economy that is active and growing. Historically, the industry is described by the interrelated activities that lead to the development of an infrastructure or a built environment function. It also acts as a precursor to urbanization and industrialization. I've seen all the slides by different, the three presenters that I saw while I saw the slides that they presented, and they speak directly to everything, the opportunities, whether directly or indirectly, that I'm speaking to in this presentation. The significance of this sector is really measured by the kind of employment it creates and its impact on the country's GDP. However, it's an industry dominated by men, and so female entrepreneurs, construction contractors, youths and engineers might have challenges and struggles to hold their own. I collect that when I got into Julius Berger in 1987, I was the only female. For a long time, they had not been employing female engineers because they felt that this ones would always go on maternity leave. It's perception. It's in a male-dominated environment. You can't push it off. This ones will always go on maternity leave. We're sure that they can do the job. But I guess by the time I'd proven myself, they didn't have a choice to begin to employ women. And I'm glad today on the webinar list, I see some of the engineers already I see Annie Fauché on the list. I'm glad that I see a DG4C, you know, on the same top that men had always held that rate. And so for me, it's the beginning of a new thing to see as many women come into this profession. APWEN is also professional bodies like APWEN. You've seen so many females come on board, which means that women can do it. And where women, I always tell people, any society that you wish women away, that society is actually being detrimental to itself. And it's also dominated by men, and so female entrepreneurs, construction contractors, youths and engineers might have challenges, no doubt about it. It's very there. It's there. It's softly written, and you also see it. Because there is a need to provide a conscious and deliberate effort to provide a leverage and enabling environment to allow them to thrive. So how do we do this? As we go along, I'll tell you what the programs for WAPAN on the government side, what we're doing. I will expand on that, but let me just go. No doubt the construction industry, as we know it, is faced with numerous challenges such as shortage of skills, manpower, low capacity utilization, lack of modern equipment, contractor bankruptcy, and managerial incompetence, and clearly a huge gap exists in the sector for opportunities with appropriate employment. So what are we saying? We've already recognized that if you have shortage of skilled manpower, this is where people can actually see where they can play, whether in the soft area of construction or in the real hardcore. No doubt the construction industry, as you know, it is faced with numerous challenges: shortage of skilled manpower, low capacity utilization, poor funding, lack of modern equipment, contractor bankruptcy, and managerial incompetence, and clearly a huge gap exists in this sector, waiting for opportunities to be filled in. In a bid to continually promote the youths, to promote the efforts of the youths, opportunities for women and youth in the construction industry, the President and Mr. Babajide Olusegun has devoted time, resources, and energy to the management and implementation of strategies of projects in such a way that will be beneficial to host communities. Now, when we give out projects, we're not only just concerned about giving out projects. There's a project that we have called OCAT, one community at a time. And so what that project does is to say, when you get into this community, a blighted community, what are you going to do there? You look at the water supply, you look at the power supply, you look at even the food and agricultural program. It's run under the office of the SSG's, the Secretary of State Government Office. So all encompassing the roads, the rural roads that you provide, the water supply, if you need to sink boreholes, if you need to provide solar powered lights, and then ensure that as many women are also encouraged to participate in a bid. So while promoting opportunity for local women and youths, this is locating a project in a community adopted a policy of localization. That's the OCAT program I'm talking about. This demands that the local people will be accorded priority in terms of employment and engagement for services. This is to ensure that the local economy is stimulated and that people benefit directly from the projects. It's important to state that the administration's vision is woven around the theme's agenda. Indeed, the first and perhaps the most critical is the traffic management and transportation pillar, which is hinged on engineering and construction. But the other 5 pillars are also built on engineering and construction as catalysts. This, of course, implies there will be huge investments and opportunities in those areas that will ultimately lead to infrastructural upgrade and area with ultimate patronage of the construction industry. That is if we decide to take into full utilization of the Chapter 5. My challenge with Nigerians, and I must say, is that even though we often implement, we provide, we do not create enough enabling environment for Executive Order 5 to thrive. And what do I mean by that? If you do not have adequate, if you have not trained your locals adequately, obviously each time you'll be forced to go back and bring back this expertise. I've seen it happen year in, year out. if you look at the number of expatriates, immigration service, you look at who and who are coming in for each trade, we have to ask ourselves the truth. Is it really that we do not have this expertise? What exactly do we need to do more, better in terms of capacity development to improve ourselves? And that's why I said, I like this foundation that is coming up. I think there are signs of better things to come, that we can begin to train people in areas where hitherto people didn't have those requisite skills there. The opportunities, I'm going on to opportunities. Opportunities are bound for women and youth to be engaged either informally as construction material suppliers, as artisans, as carpenters, masons, handbenders, welders, or painters, as horticulturists and landscapers for the built environment, or as skilled professionals such as planners, designers, engineers, architects, surveyors, and builders in the construction industry, as well as those engaged in that. Mrs. Zimbabwe has done the justice to tabulate all of this, the direct opportunities and the indirect ones, and what people can actually play. So you need to know yourself, do your SWOT analysis, and then tell yourself, what am I good at? What do I have interest areas on? And then find out where you want to play, and then the vocational schools that you will go on to. Many years back, I think NQL3, DG Fossey said it, that you can get accreditation from the NQL3. I tried writing a curriculum with Dolphy Works, with Jibuno, in trying to drop a curriculum for the MGQ program, the vocational schools. So all of this, they speak to exactly what are the things that we can do. The career opportunities for women and youth in construction and the allied trades. I think I've listed them all in here. I would, you can scroll down, please, as either as building all of them, what you can do as construction managers, engineering engineers, environmental consult. Those are areas where you can. So what do you need? Acquisition of relevant education and industry experience with various trades in construction industry. So this is where, please pause. This is where I think we need the help. We need the help because there is a debt of skilled workers that we have. And I'm glad that Fossey, with your academy, you will do a great lot of work. Other corporate organizations like Samsung, I know Samsung is doing something. I know Itato in times past, Julius Berger tried to do a vocational school in Epe that will act like a masonry, like a school tech. Last Web under the SWAL Executive Secretary, Dr. Gaspar, they had the Skills Up program. And I also knew that McKinsey had this program where they would ask industries to say what are the requirements, what are the deficiencies that they notice that people do not have, so that they will know exactly where to fit the areas of training on. And so this webinar, so at the end of the day, the networking that will come out of this, and when people submit their CVs, the areas of interest, we can begin to draw programs that would galvanize the kind of training that we can do for people. I must say, construction is a tough work, particularly if you're on the tough side, you're on the hard side of construction. If you are into real construction, the soft side you can manage as a woman with family, with career, but with the hardcore, you require all the support and the encouragement from relevant authorities, from government. It takes it doubly tough for you to see a woman succeed in construction. It is tough. So I go on further, participating in an apprenticeship or taking part in an employer-provided training program. In addition, they learn their crafts by working with more experienced workers. Most construction trade workers' jobs require proficiency in reading and mathematics. Safety training is also required for most jobs. English language skills are essential for workers to advance with their trade. To further develop their skills, construction trade workers can work on different projects as housing developments, office and industrial buildings, or road construction. Flexibility and a willingness to adopt new techniques as well as the ability to get along with people are essential for advancement. If you don't have people skills, you're not likely to succeed in construction. It requires, you must really be a people person. You must be able, because you need to carry people along with you as you're working. Those who are skilled in all facets of the trade and who show good leadership qualities may be promoted supervisor or construction managers. So I then go on to say what are the skill sets and competencies that you require working in the construction industry. The technical skills as a good civil engineer. So I went on to your skills as an engineer and then what you must have. So a civil engineer should have a level of mathematics and physics that allows for the identification and solving of engineering problems. So also project management skills, your communication skills, your creativity. If you are into buildings, into real estate development, understanding science, technology, engineering, maths, and STEM skills. One of the things that professional bodies like APWEN are doing right now is to try to catch them young. So we organize STEM programs where you go to schools when they're young, under 12, 15, try to encourage them to take science and technology engineering programs as subjects before they get into the university. Cut them young. You also find several fellows and elders in the society, in the profession, try to give out scholarships just to encourage the students to take up this engineering-related fields. So you must have a strong analytical mind. Your attention to details must be very high. Your designing, your excellent communication skills, then desire to learn. Leadership and management skills. So stereotypes. I talked about stereotypes the other time, and I said youth must realize that to be an engineer, you must roll up your sleeve. You must roll up your sleeves. Literally, it's not just greasing and applying tools. It's more of applying the skills you have learned in the industry to improve the society. Engineers often you don't look like an engineer. That's one of the things that men do. They try to intimidate you, and then thinking that you will buckle. But when they know you are going to hold your tough, and they see that you are good at what you're doing, and that you can stand your ground, and you can hold your own, then they begin to learn to respect you. I tell people, engineering, it's a three-goat race. There's a learning stage, there's a growth phase, and one stage for the other. If you really want to go through it, female engineer. So, what does an engineer look like? You don't have to wear overalls to excel in the sector. I tell people it depends on the part of engineering that you are into. So those are part of the stereotypes that they do just to intimidate us. Government policy. So and I'll go to where exactly most people want to hear to say, what exactly can government do to encourage this kind of constructionpreneurs? So as a government, like I said, there's the OCAT one that you must encourage women, a minimum number of people, a percentage, and I'll say it in strong terms. In the history of Lagos State, this cabinet is the one with the highest. It has never happened in sub-Saharan Africa that you have about 35% of your cabinet being women. And it's not by accident. The women in this cabinet are women that any one of them can hold their own. They are women who, in their own rights, they have proven themselves. So that is the same kind of policy that we say we can actually use and then drill down to the STEM industry, to the construction industry. So what are we doing? WAPA, the Office of WAPA, Women and Poverty Alleviation, has a program where it empowers youths that every month they organize programs for the youths. I think there's a Made for Women Lagos, Mrs. Bossede at APC, I think she's a webinar. I think she can attest to that. So WAPA organizes programs every month for women in different trades, whether it's in brick making, in poverty alleviation, in block making, trading, and LSTF as a unit also gives loan up to a maximum of 5 million. So if you have on a case-by-case business, if you have a need to say, I have this business model that I think I want to do, and come up and say, this is what it's going to cost. They look at all of it in totality and say, does this business stand? Is it viable? They give them what to pay, what you're so best, and they tell you they have also business analysts who look at everything you have brought up and then release the sum of money to you. It's being managed by, there's an executive secretary for that unit, the LSTF. They fund it, the government funds it, and up to 200 women. Not necessarily women, but at least a quarter of the percentage goes to women of that funding. So there is opportunity or room for you to actually have access to funding. That's what everybody wants to hear. It's up to a maximum of 5 million, but it's on a case-by-case basis. So it will vary from as low as 50,000 naira to 5 million naira. And the soft areas where of vocation that women can work. I always tell you, in lights when we were growing up, when we were young, you know, there were the likes of Teterebun, and those are block making industries. They were not engineers, but they looked at the needs of the construction industry. They had precast units where they could work, so they would produce slabs, rings, concrete rings. They had kerbstones, neatly well done, precast elements. And I'm telling you, when I say it, that women, you can actually do this, because then you can have control over your time, because you're taking a narrow scope of the needs of the industry, and you can actually make a niche or carve a niche for yourself there. Training, I've talked about the training that WAPA and LASEB will do. Technical apprenticeship and certification, that's where the DG FOSI, the FOSI Academy she's talked also about. And I'm glad if the curriculum of what they have now, we can actually give it wide room for wide publicity, that people know that, yes, it's not everybody that must go to university. If you do this and there's a certification that will be accredited that you can actually use that, people begin to know that you can earn a living even doing all of these things. Trader money, the trading programs also like trader money, and then special low interest loans for women. and then the STEM for Girls program by Upward. Gender-sensitive employment and appointments and youth-centered programs, women empowerment and business programs, and advocacy on gender and youth-sensitive platforms. However, much still remains to be done. We should therefore use this medium to consult amongst ourselves as we take steps to improve the delivery of our services. I wish to say with all sense of modesty that government is making progress, but providing the necessary ambience for us to be able to flourish. We're not yet there, but we know that definitely, you can scroll the slide up. You can, Mrs. Bird, you can scroll up. Yes, you can. Thank you. Thank you. Scroll up more. Scroll up. Okay. That's it. Okay. I wish to say with sense of modesty that government is making progress, but providing an enabling environment in a state such as Lagos is not something to be left for government alone. And that's why this webinar comes at a very, very important time. PIPP is one of the things that we're encouraging people to do. The private sector participation, it's important. Government alone cannot do it. Either in funding of infrastructure, either in provision or acquisition of skills for people, either in providing residential houses, or I can name it all and on. The budget size of Nigeria as it is, at best, depending on whichever statistics you want to go with, 20 billion, and then you need, for your infrastructure gap, you need about 80 billion. Where is this deficit going to come from? Obviously, it can only be from private sector. It's going to be from private sector and then the ingenuity and the creativity that will bring to bear. So what am I saying? The likes of Inter-Bau Foundation, the likes of Samsung, the likes of as many banks, as many corporate organizations that will come genuinely to say, we want to improve the lot of women, particularly in this sector. I think it's time that we come together and then draw out a program and walk through that program consciously to achieve these desired goals. We can set target goals for ourselves, mark ourselves with the KPIs and see exactly how we go down the line. The first 1 year, the first two. We can also collaborate with professional bodies like Upward. The list of all of the bodies that you can work with are there. And I tell people, what's important is develop yourself. Capacity development is essential. Go to exhibitions, see what is new, what's the latest technology, what do you have on? Because unless you keep developing yourself, you find out that you go obsolete. What exactly it is that we need to do? Skill up yourself. Suggestions and collaborative efforts as corporate individuals is also needed to get there. I wish to end this address by saying that I'm very hopeful that you find this webinar refreshing, reinvigorating, and as an opportunity to dedicate ourselves to the task of providing better opportunities for the most vulnerable groups in the society. That's why what all of this is all about. Any society that relegates the women to the background is not likely to make a good success of things. So on this note, I'd like to end my speech, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, for your presentation and enlightening us on the initiatives Lagos State has been taking to improve the gender parity in our sector. And next, we have Dr. Mrs. Olajumoke Akiode, founder of Women in Infrastructure Community Africa, speaking on career pathways to the You're on mute, madam. We can't hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Okay. I stand on existing protocols, and I just want to appreciate Inter-Bau for the invitation. I don't know, I'm trying to share my screen. And I want to commend previous speakers for a job well done. My task is very simple here. Okay. I'm trying to bring my screen on board. Okay.
they still on? Okay.
Okay. So industry for women and youth. Can you all hear me, please? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, we got to hear you.
Okay, beautiful. So like the speakers before me, I've done the opportunities in construction. I'll just run through what the career pathway is all about. Relevant information as to how to start a career and advance in construction, and identify the requirements, the training requirements, and motivate women and youth to take bold steps in the construction industry. I quickly want to introduce you to WICA. Women in Infrastructure Community Africa ensures that every woman that is involved in construction industry or in any other area of infrastructure delivery in Nigeria becomes gender conscious and promotes gender inclusion in the industry. This is important also in the kind of career that you choose in construction, because we encourage girls to study STEM courses so as to have career in the construction industry. And we also promote the development of women that are in construction already and those who are also willing to be in the industry. So what's the roadmap for engaging in construction industry, for becoming a professional in the industry? I'll just run through that by saying that construction is not just about the work, the buildings, the roads, the rails, the ports. It's also about the manufacture of materials and products for construction. This is where, the gate is thrown open for everybody. If you could be creative. So if I'm not involved in the building of roads and rails, what about the materials from construction? Yes. These are avenues for women and youth to come on board. And it's also essential to know that right now is sustainable construction. When you're talking about sustainable construction, you're talking about energy generation and consumption efficiency. You're talking about renewable energy mix adaptation. You're talking about water production, consumption and recycling or reuse efficiency. You're talking about resilience to climatic conditions like flood, like excesses and deforestation. All of this make way or create, give access to other people even from other specialties to come into construction. Doris has told us a lot about opportunities in construction, like the carpentry, all of this. So I won't even go into details, but these are the basic opportunities in construction industry. So what are the pathways in the construction industry? So from the artisanal entry point, at this level, it does not require any particular skills, right? It's just mainly manual labor. Then you go on to the semi-skilled entry point, where you require a basic level of training and skills. So you have this formal training, then you already know how to maybe use a shovel, arrange things, assist, help in the construction site. Then you have the skilled entry point. This is where you have specific occupational training and skill acquisition. And you have the highly skilled entry points. This is where you get certificates, you are certificated, you have specialized education. So your education, it could be in horticulture, you could be an environmentalist. But if you're talking about sustainable infrastructure, sustainable construction, then there is opportunity for you to come in with this your specialized education into construction industry. And that is where we go to multidisciplinary synergy pathway, where specialists from different backgrounds collaborate, value to the industry, especially in the process of development and innovation. And that's where we talk about green buildings, where you ensure that built public spaces are gender friendly. They are not just socially inclusive. They are accessible to different segments of society, and they are environmentally friendly. This is where all the environmentalists, the green people, they come in to work in construction. Also, we have the integrated, so when we talk about job competency development, number one is the integrated occupational and foundational skill development. This is where you have technical schools, where you have to go to a kind of school to acquire the basic knowledge that you need. And then the next one is the job-based training, This one has to do with you learning a skill, maybe as a builder, as a tiler, as a painter, you know, as a carpenter. This is the job training, job-based training. This is where you go to vocational centers like Inter-Bau Foundation, where they are focused on training girls, I mean, in the construction, in skills acquisition in construction industry, where you do apprenticeship and internship. Then we have the flexible proficiency, you know, that could come from, it's not just infrastructure related, that is not just about building, about construction, but that had values to it, that makes construction sustainable, that makes construction to be energy efficient, water consumption efficient, and all the likes. And this can be done through after work hour training. I mean, so for instance, you have a basic job you're doing, maybe you're a teacher, you're a woman or a young person, and you have extra time on your hand. So you could begin to acquire those skills, after school training, after work hours training, online training, internship, apprenticeship in whatever it is that you desire to work in. So I have this table here that talks about status, or your status as starting point, the qualification process, the career progress, and how you enter, the level at which you enter into the construction industry. So number one is no formal training. At this point, is a vocational, when you do not have any basic training at all, you go to a vocational center to become, to acquire skills and even to become an apprentice. At this level, you have basic skills. And in the construction sector, what you can do is you become a helper, you help to clean the site, you help to arrange things, to carry load, or an assistant artisan. Then if you go to junior school, maybe from, you graduated from JS class, year 3, and you have a GSS certificate, then you move on to having a vocational training. At this level, you become an apprentice. Your work is actually, most of the work in this sector is labor intensive. I mean, like plumbing, like carpentry, like equipment operators. And at this same point too, you could also veer off into the construction part of the production, construction material production part of construction from this level. Then you have, so the next step is completion of apprenticeship and vocational training, which usually takes between 3 to 6 years. From this level, you become a journeyman or a journeyman. Then you become an intern that is already, that has progressed to a level, you're not yet a certified executive or a certified tradesperson or craft person, but at least you're already interning. So as a journeyman, what you do here is that you acquire experience. So you volunteer, either you're working or you just volunteer at construction sites to gain experience, because at this level, experience is important. Construction sector requires both skill and experience. And so at the end of this, you become a master tradesman or a craftsman. Then you have the secondary school students that have studied science or technical based subjects and have passed their SSC and JAM, and they go into universities for STEM courses in higher institutions. And after this, they attend vocational training schools to improve their knowledge. Then they become trainee professionals, engineers, builders. They are not yet experts, they are still trainee, they are the training level, the training entry point in the construction sector. Then you have the post-secondary school education. This is higher institution graduates coming back to specialize in an area, and they get certificated. So the process also is through internship, flexible, specialized training. And at this level, they become supervisors, project managers, job site foreman, site manager. Then, and also at this level is also where you bring in all this other, so maybe you work in the bank and maybe you've been laid off, or you just want to have more time to yourself. This is also the time to come. This is at the level where you can come in, acquire a specialized training, and then you come in at this level because you're already educated, you already have the skill, and you have the experience and the exposure. Then you have on-the-job progression, you're already employed, and what you need now is you improve your proficiency or you change your area of specialization. So you've been working as a carpenter, you want to maybe do something else, maybe you want to add interior decoration to it, or maybe you want to begin to look at innovative ways of doing your job. At this level, what you need is a flexible module training. It could be online, it could be afterwork schedules, but all of this help you to progress, because progress in your career, and all you do at the end of this is that you move up the career ladder. Okay? So you have this map that is general, it's not just specific to Nigeria, but it's obtainable all over as career pathways, where you, with high school diploma, you could become a successful apprentice, you complete apprenticeship or training program, you become a journeyman experience. And on this side, you have the entry level, the helpers, the laborers, the equipment operators. You become a journeyman, then you become a job site foreman, and you become a project manager, an expert, and a manager. So let me quickly move on to certificates and qualifications. So as an apprentice or you have received on the job training, the informal way, you get what we call informal graduation. If you've gone to a vocational center, you have you get a certificate. If you've gone to a technical school, so there are trade levels 1, 2, and 3. Then if you've gone to a technical, so like as a technician, you get a diploma. You've gone to a polytechnic, a technical college, you get a diploma, a national diploma grade. Then the professionals are those who've gone to the university, you've done their HND, they've gone their HND education, they have a higher degree. So you have HND, you have the BTech, you have Bachelor in Engineering, and then Masters, and so on. So we have public and private organizations that are offering vocational training. We've heard of FOSI telling us about theirs. There's the Inter-Bau Foundation training, vocational training. There's the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, Fields of Skills and Dream Academy, and so many others that are available for people to acquire vocational training. Then you have the professional bodies, that the Council of Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, the COREN, the NIOB, the COBON, NIA, and we also have Women in Infrastructure Community Africa. What we do in this community is that we help, besides encouraging young girls to study STEM courses, we also help women that are already engaged in infrastructure delivery in any sphere, in any sector. We encourage them, we encourage them to improve in their development. So there's personal development. And we also, one of the important things is that we help them to focus on gendered infrastructure delivery, as in they make infrastructure delivery sustainable. So we provide trainings in gender project management, gendered public-private partnership in infrastructure, so that they themselves become advocates of gender inclusion in infrastructure delivery, in construction. They become advocates in their own work, in their designs, in their planning, in whatever they begin to consider rooms for gender inclusion. So they are the advocates, they are the people that will go on the field, and when they're talking about built places, public built places, they are making provision for vulnerable people to be able to access. They are making provision for access for all segments of society, the elderly, so that it may be a mall, they are constructing a mall or designing a mall. They make sure that the mall has access, as in people that are on wheelchair can access those malls. There's provision for that, and that even in the washrooms, there's provision for women that want to change the diapers of their children. I mean, for the disabled to be able to use those washrooms. Those are the things that we encourage women to do. Those are the areas that we focus on in Women in Infrastructure Community Africa. So let me just move on so let me round up by saying you want to start in construction. What are the things that you should know? The sky is open. The opportunities are just there. They are there and they are available for women. Now it is no longer brawn. It's not a manual job alone anymore. I mean, you have the IT part of it, the technology part of it, the digital part of it, where the youth can come. So if you don't need to wait again. If you don't gain admission to university, there are other things you can begin to do as a young person. Instead of waiting year on hand to write your JAM, you could go and acquire those skills and focus on an area, because the opportunities are just boundless. You could become a database man, maybe stock database management in construction sites. You could focus into waste management. I mean, go for waste management training and begin to see how you can convert, because people are already, I know a woman that's already doing waste management conversion, conversion of waste nylon into interlocking blocks. So those are the areas, I mean, the sky is just wide open for women, for young people to come into construction. The construction industry needs to become sustainable. And so gender and social inclusion and environmental consciousness is highly needed. This is where we come in. That is what is providing the opportunity, immense opportunity for everyone that is interested, especially women, I mean, to come into the construction industry. So starting in construction essentials, it requires self-appraisal, self-examination, and mindset. Besides the skill that you have, it is important that you examine yourself. So what is it that I want to do or become in this industry? What do I already have to do it or to become it? Or what is it that I lack? Then what steps am I willing to take to begin the process of having it or becoming it? How do I begin? When do I begin? When you have answered these questions realistically, then you are ready to start work as a woman, as a young person in the construction industry. And in conclusion, I would just say your attitude is also very important. You need to set your mind. So as a woman, you need to understand your issues. What are your contextual issues as a person? Okay, as a young person, so you don't have financial backup, but you can go and intern. You can go and volunteer. Your contextual issues, you need to understand them, and you need to, your prospects, your limitations, what are the things that would limit you, what are the barriers. Once you understand them and you provide solutions to them, you're ready to start work. Then you have to be determined to work. As a woman, the previous speaker talked about stereotypes, talked about intimidation in the sector, in the sector. You need to be determined to work in the construction sector. It's not as if nobody's going to give it to you on a platter of gold, so you have to be determined. Then you must envision the end that you desire. What do I want to become? Where am I heading to end this? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Then you need to call up your inner strength. And by inner strength, I mean all the resources that you have, spiritually, mentally, physically, everything. Call it up, including the skills that you need to acquire. Call everything up, then tap into your support system. As a woman, you need a lot of support. You need, especially if you have young children, and you need to balance. So you need to look at what are the things that you need to support yourself so that you do not begin to give yourself a bad name in your place of work. Fine, it's natural for you to give birth, to be pregnant, to be married, but you need that support system to help you cope with all of these challenges that will come your way in advancing in your career or starting a career in construction. And you have to prepare to press forward. It requires preparation. So you need to prepare. As a woman, you need to prepare even much more than a man will prepare, because so much is expected of us as women. Especially when you say you can do what a man can do, then there's so much expectation, and you need to prepare to press forward. And finally, I would just say, just do it. Once you have all of these questions answered, and you have all of these things done, then please just do it. Just start. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for a very session on the career pathways in our industry. Next, we have Harriet Omonuwa, Admin Manager of Inter-Bau Foundation, to give us an overview of the foundation.
Distinguished speakers and participants. Good afternoon, distinguished speakers and participants. My name is Harriet, the admin manager for Inter-Bau Foundation, and I'm going to be introducing you all to the foundation today. Inter-Bau Foundation is a registered non-profit organization in Nigeria, established with a grant from Inter-Bau Construction Limited to specifically address the skills and expertise gap in the construction sector. Inter-Bau Foundation is established to mitigate the large unemployment rates among young women and youths in the country today, and also to help them with professional and lucrative career choices in the construction sector. The vision of the foundation is a Nigeria with an advanced and reliable infrastructure that's built by indigenous talents and expertise and caters to the needs of all Nigerians. The foundation mission is to enhance and build a culture of professionalism, competence, and excellence in Nigeria's construction sector. The foundation has 4 main objectives. The foundation has 4 main objectives, one of which is to train and equip a critical mass of Nigerian youth with practical skills for the construction sector to mitigate the high youth unemployment rate in Nigeria by creating jobs in the construction industry. Inter-Bau Foundation is going to provide mentoring and leadership development for young people to build careers in the construction industry. And lastly, the fourth is to increase the participation of women and girls in the construction industry. Main objectives is skills development for the construction industry and the technical skills. The subset skills, of which a very unique part is we're going to be training women self-defense training. This is because, and also they're scared, they don't have a very good communication. They're scared of the communication trainers for self-defense, for them to be able to defend themselves when the need arises. We're going to have different skills like plumbing, electricians training. So many skills are set for the needs, and also youth development training, mentoring and leadership training, mentoring and leadership is going to be said. This can also play an active role in the construction sector. This is going to help the mindset and help change the mindset that the construction sector is just for, it's not just for men. It will also play an active role, train their minds. You can check for more information, you can check us on LinkedIn.
Thank you very much, Harriet, for the overview of the Inter-Bau Foundation. And now we'll be proceeding to the question and answer section. We have a number of questions in the Q&A box and in the chat box. So I'm going to be starting with the questions for engineer Mr. Olubi Adekoje. We have several people about entering Federation of. Is the academy discipline based?
Okay. Good afternoon once again. And I want to first of all comment that I've really enjoyed the last 2 hours and I've been very blessed by all the presentations. The question came asking about the academy. The academy, we're starting with artisan skills. And we're going to be focusing on artisan skills for now. We're in Abuja. And by July 2021, we'll add carpentry and plumbing to Abuja. By 1st of October 2021, we'll start with masonry in both Port Harcourt and Lagos. And I want to share with you that we probably will be going into partnership with some of our members who are already into such skills as well. The challenge we have, of course, is that there's a particular level and standard required by our members. So we will be looking at certification of those who pass through our skills academy, and they will spend a minimum of 1 year. The entry qualifications would be at least school starts attempted, because we need to have the English language skills and we need to have the mathematics skills required for the artisans. I hope I answered the questions. Is there anyone I left out?
No, the requirements was the only other thing they asked about.
School starts attempted.
In addition, faced by women in construction, and how are the women who are already in the industry mentoring, assisting, or encouraging other women into the industry? And do you have any comments on that, madam?
I'll say that most of the mentoring that I know of has been informal. You know, women as a rule, we come together, we support ourselves. And I'll say formally, yes, there are some form of mentoring going on, but going forward, there's need for a more formal form of mentoring to encourage younger people. There's need to create an awareness amongst women that are in construction that, look, there's help, I can reach out to so and so for help. And there's need for those of us who are already in construction, who are maybe privileged or fortunate to have moved on in our careers, to actually look out for the younger ones and encourage them. I believe this is one of the forums that could actually assist in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. There was a comment on that I'll just read out. Maybe the various foundations should look at collaborating to harness what each has for encouraging the women so as to reach a wider audience. Construction is still seen as a male profession, and the mindset needs to be changed to make for progress. Thank you. To Mrs. Mbadwe, we have a question here that how does Inter-Bau intend to attract and train more female and youths?
Well, the foundation will be running training courses. We're hoping to start first quarter before the so, but we've moved that to September. We'll be running programs. We have in the first quarter, sometime in January, we did engage students through early attractions. So we did engage about 250 students from public and private schools in Lagos. And we got them together to sensitize them and to make them aware of opportunities for them, expose them to STEM careers and all of that. So that went well. We had some encouraging news that we weren't aware of the opportunities that were in the sector. Most of them just were taking STEM subjects to do other things aside from joining the construction sector. So another unique plan for the foundation is that for every set of people or of trainees that we get, it would be 60-40. So that would be the ratio. Just how, and we will also be bringing them to live construction sites for the trainees, just to shadow work, just to see what other people are doing, and then of course
Thanks, Virginia. I did a presentation. I deduced from presentation we not really play in the hardcore sector of construction, in any hardcore construction job or project to any woman, to any company, right, man.
Sababogu is run by a woman. She's not an engineer, and she's doing very well. Fekrad is an engineer, a senior colleague. Light is not an engineer, it's a generation construction company, so she's coming with a lot of background experience. But Sabab, like I say, once you're good, you're good. I really do not, I tell people, don't give me what I'm due because I'm a woman. Give me because I think I deserve it. The gender, yes, is there, but you must deserve what you're getting. I think that's the bottom line. So Lagos State government is encouraging quite a lot of women. I will make it a policy to at least encourage women to get jobs.
That's great.
Okay.
To Dr. Olajumoke, we have a comment and question. In safety and technology, but still unemployed. Where will I start from? I have the skills and I need a job in a construction company.
Thank you very much. I will just say that where to start from, like Ms. Mbadiwe said, you keep sending out your profile, but you start from volunteering. So if nobody is employing you, why don't you go and volunteer? Go to construction sites, go to construction company, ask them when they have the job, the type of skills that you have that you can assist them. Come forward first. When they see what you do while volunteering, then they begin to consider it. That gives you access. Volunteering, online, physically, I think that is where to start from. And there are some organizations that you can actually send your profiles to your resume to, and maybe you can send to WICA. We'll look at it and see how we can, because it's also part of connecting people to opportunities. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have a from Amina, so one can access membership requirements.
I think could I just put that on the chat group so the person can see it? Thank you.
Then we have the sorry? There must be a mass appeal project with a lot of political goodwill to give all these we have wished and unprecedented mileage. And then we have a question, Emilia, I'm not sure who this is addressed to, but she's asking, will the foundation have an apprenticeship scheme for young people in Nigeria? Is this addressed to Inter-Bau Foundation or?
Yes, we will. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll have an apprenticeships program. There should please visit the information and we're very passionate about seeing more women. So women who want to, especially in the artisan group, to yes, please do contact us.
Great. I think we've come to the end of our Q&A. Now proceeding to close this wonderful event, I, on behalf of Inter-Bau Foundation, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all you speakers for gracing us with your important work and sharing your opinions today. We are very grateful that you blessed us with your presence and you took out valuable time from your busy weekends to spend time this afternoon. A big thank you to every single one of you. I must mention thank you to Engineer Kenneth Onyema, the chairman of Mr. Lamsa, country representative of UN Women. Thank you to Engineer Mrs. Olubunmi Adepoje, Director General, Federation of Construction Industry. Thank you to Engineer Mrs. Aramide Adeyoye, Special Advisor, Works and Infrastructure, Lagos State. Thank you to Mrs. Doris Mbadwe, Executive Director, Inter-Bau Construction. And thank you to Dr. Mrs. Olajumoke Akiode, Founder, Women in Infrastructure Community. On this topic in this sector. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Inter-Bau, our wonderful host of this great seminar, for the perfect logistics support and guidance that you provided to all of us. And our chairman of the foundation, Mrs. Doris Mbadwe, Executive Director, Inter-Bau Construction, for the enormous cooperation in the organization of this event, and Kingsley Okechukwu as well. An event like this doesn't happen overnight. The wheels started rolling weeks ago, and it takes a lot of planning and bird's eye for details. We've been very fortunate to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues of Inter-Bau Foundation that are working behind the scenes that we can't see, but are making everything happen, and they're very dedicated and results oriented. We're very grateful for all of you. And lastly, but certainly not the least, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank all of you attendees for coming on this Saturday afternoon, for gracing us with your presence and for participating, commenting, asking questions, and starting to really think about how we can improve female participation in industry. So thank you once again. We have a few people asking for the website of Inter-Bau Foundation, please.
Okay, we will share that on the screen right now. It's interbaufoundation.org. interbaufoundation.org.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So we just want to thank, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we've shared the website address. Has everyone seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just want to thank, I just want to thank our distinguished speakers, attendees, participants. God bless you all for spending your Saturday with us. You know, we're very passionate about what we're doing. Especially to lift people up and lack them opportunities for employment. May God help us in fulfillment of our objectives, collective objectives. Thank you very much for coming, for attending. Thank you, Nike, for moderating this event for us. Thank you. I'm thanking our able special assistant, special advisor on works and infrastructure for Lagos State. Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you.
I know how busy you are.
Apologies, I was out of.
No, it's fine.
It's
We're
okay.
thanking. Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, my madam, my boss, the DG of OC, Engineer Adekoje. Thank you very much for being with us. Thanking Waika, the founder of Waika, my sister and partner. Thank you for also being here with us. Mr. Oyema, our chairman, my brother, Mr. Kingsley Okechukwu Obina, thank you for being part of this. The men in the foundation are really passionate about having women work in this sector. So I'm very grateful for that. So they let me they allow me to be flexible in doing certain things and just, support me in what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Thank you. And to the director, Muyiwa, who is here making signals at me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Harriet, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And our support staff. Yes.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.